Peace and blessings, everyone. This is Aerica Karriem, and I am so excited to be here this morning. If this is your first time listening to me, again, I'm Aerica Karriem. I am a relationship coach, a family mediator, an author, and a speaker. And this morning, we're going to talk about teenage pregnancies. Did your daughter get pregnant and leave you ashamed? And OMG, do I have the story for your butt? Because I've been through it with my one of my oldest daughters, right? And so, oh, ashamed is the word. You hear me? But I want to just share with you, not everybody feels ashamed. I mean, there's just some mothers that are generous and supporting, and they just don't have an angry um just an angry little piece in their soul, right? They're just so compassionate. But for most moms, compassion, who, what, where they do that at? When you're talking about your 16-year-old, 17-year-old, 15-year-old daughter, right? Or younger. But most parents are just really not loving when they hear that message. They're not warm-hearted, considerate. They're not kind. They're not understanding. We just not trying to hear that, right? But I want to share with you a different way to go about it. And then I'm going to tell you my story as well. But for most mothers, because again, I've been doing this a long time, I'll tell people, listen, honey, I have either been through it, I have either seen it or heard about it, right? And so there's a ton of mothers where their first reaction is, get out. Get out of my house right now. Or what the hell? Why did you go out and do that, right? And so the threats come. I mean, you really want to fight your daughter. Why? Because it's like, you was warned. I warned you. Either I possibly been through it. We know somebody who possibly been through it, and I'll be god darn. You was warned. So how in the world could you, right? And so some mothers eventually, right out the woodwork, say, you got to give it up for adoption. And the list goes on and on. The bottom line is that when you first hear about that situation, you're just so disappointed. It's like you're so ashamed. How in the world do I go out, and how do I tell my community members? How do I tell my family that I've raised this child to not to do it, and her butt turns around and do the total opposite? Like, she was warned, right? But I want to share with you that kids are kids. Just like us adults, we do what we want when we want to do it, how we want to do it. And of course, they shouldn't have the right to even be thinking that way. But honey, that peer pressure out there, and has been for years, is a mess. You hear me? You know how people say karma's a bitch? Peer pressure is a bitch. You hear me? And there's so many people just doing stuff just because my friends is doing it, just because it looks so much like so much fun, just because, and there's no rhyme or reason behind it. It's just because I want to be out there. I want to go against the grain. I want to do what I was taught not to do, no matter the consequences, even though you was warned about the consequences, right? So this is my story with my oldest daughter. Now, This is a story that I told before, but some of you are new to me. And OMG, I still today ask myself, how the hell did that get past you? So I was a stay-at-home mom for 14 years. Okay. And during this time, it was probably about the 10th year that I was a stay-at-home mom. Now, as being a stay-at-home mom, aren't you supposed to know the ins, the outs, the everything that's going on in the house? The I'm taking the kids to practice, and you just should know um what's going on. So for many years, I beat myself up mentally about, girl, how the hell you didn't know that, right? But people don't understand, being a stay-at-home mom is that's just not one job just because it has one title, right? Especially when you have 7 children. Okay. So again, for years, I was like kicking myself in the ass, like, Aerica, how could you not have known? But I want to share with you. Um, so this is how our days looked for months and months and months. So my daughter was in high school, and she would get up at 6 in the morning, well, probably about 5:15, and I would take her around 5:30 to school so she can have her dance class. By the time we got there, it was like 30 or 50 girls there, right? So we drop her off, and so from 6 o'clock in the morning, I think like 7:30 they practicing, then school starts. And then after school, she's practicing again. And I didn't go pick her up until possibly 6:30 or 7 in the evening. By that time, 7:30, 6 o'clock in the evening, 6:30 in the evening, possibly. Um, it's come home, eat, shower, do your homework, go to bed. Now, this happened for months, right? Months and months and months. So let me repeat that again. You wake up in the morning, 5:15. You leave around, whatever. She have to be there at 6. So 6 o'clock to 7:30, she's practicing. From school starts, school's over at 4, 3:30. From 3:30 to 6:30, I don't pick her up at 6:30. She comes home, she showers, she's eating her food sometimes. Sometimes she's just too pooped to eat. And then she's doing her homework, and she goes to bed. This routine is every single day. On the weekend, she had the actual dance. It wasn't a rehearsal, it was actually the dance, right? So months and months and months went by. But she ain't the only child I have. I have other ones going to football practice and football games and all these other things. She just wasn't the only one. Then, so I'm the chauffeur, I'm the cook, I'm the clean, I'm the mediator around the house, this and that, the wife. Don't forget the husband, the wife duties for the husband, right? So that sounds like it's draining, right? Well, it was. And a lot of people go through that. But I still didn't find out, y'all. I seen her wearing bigger shirts, what is that? The hoodies, because it was wintertime. So I just didn't put two and two together. And let me tell you something, don't much get past me. I'm on it. I'm on every kid. You hear me? Much don't get past me. So she had on these big hoodies and everything, and it still got past me. Till one day, my second daughter, everybody who went to school, my second daughter calls me and say, Mama, are you sitting down? I said, what is the deal? What you talking about? She said, Mama, I need you to sit down for this one. And I said, okay. So she told me that my oldest daughter was pregnant. And get this, not only pregnant, but 5.5 months pregnant. I mean, I could have hit the ceiling. You hear me? So I'm like, huh? So she said, Mama, I told her that she asked me not to tell, but I told her if she don't tell you by a certain date, I'm just gonna call you and tell you myself. What did I do? I went up to her school, that same dance school. I mean, same dancing, doing her dance hours in the evening time, because it was getting close to evening. And I goes up there and I said, raise your shirt up right now. And OMG, this thing had a big old round, pregnant, hard stomach. It was a baby in there. All right. So at that time, my first reaction was, what the hell? I'm so disappointed. And I'm going to kick your ass. But I didn't kick her ass, right? I'm just like, this is a mess. And I'm very, very ashamed. How could you allow this to happen when you know you've been taught the right things to do? And so a long time I blame myself because I'm just like, how could that have got past me? But at the end of the day, she took full responsibility and she said, Mom, I knew exactly what I was doing. She didn't know she was going to get pregnant, but you take your kid to school and they asses go out the back door and then come back like nothing happened. And how could a parent had known that, right? Especially if the school don't give you a call. Back in those days, they didn't call and say, well, if not at that school, hey, your child was absent for 1 or 2 hours or 3 hours. Or now the kids, the caller, the machine will say, hey, your child was absent fourth, fifth, and sixth period. If you have any questions, give us a call. But they just didn't have that back then. But the point is this: we love our grandbabies. We don't like the process sometimes. We don't like the actions that they do. But I tell people that those grandbabies can become your best friend. You hear me? Those grandbabies are so amazing, especially if they're raised right. And then as a grandparent, you help raise those grandkids. Now, as you may have seen in my other video, um, I am a grandmother how I want to be. I'm the grandmother. You don't tell me when you want me to watch your kid. You don't run me. But I get my granddaughter all the time, you know, and she's just an amazing kid, right? But well, sometimes I have to get in that butt. But that's all kids, right? They just need to be redirected sometimes. But I just want to say that even after the experience, while we're going through it, it just seems like it's horrible. But let me share with you, years and years and years after that, because she's 11 now, my grandbaby's 11. Now, I was at that time the PTA president and always involved in things. And so people would come up to me and say, oh my God, my daughter's pregnant. What should I do? A couple of years later down the line. And they say, I just want to put her butt out. I'm just so angry and disappointed. And I say, sis, I understand. I used to be like that too. But them grandbabies are a blessing. They are amazing. And they are going to be your best friend, your best little buddy. So years later, when you run into those people again, they'll stop me and say, my grandbaby is my best buddy. Thank you so much. But I wanted to share with you that even though our children have those type of they do those behaviors, right? Behaviors that we don't like, or like my daughter got pregnant, or your daughter, or whoever's watching this, or it could be a niece or whatever. Where you start is not that big of a deal. It's where you going. Fast forward 11 years, my daughter, she done graduated with her, what is that, her bachelor's degree. She's in a sorority. She's going to school for law. And who would have thought, right? Because during those years, we've had some um, rocky roads, right? Some rocky roads. But who hasn't? Who hasn't? You just don't give up. The point of this right here, this conversation is, please, y'all, don't give up on your daughters. Don't give up on those grandbabies. And whatever you do, don't put them babies out in the street, because your baby is a baby having a baby. How the hell she gonna know how to parent or be a mother if you ain't the one who teach her? So you gonna put her out so somebody else can teach her on what she shouldn't be doing. But because you so mad, you don't have the time, you just feel, and you in your feelings, you just feel like that this is not my problem. But it is. Make it your problem. Make it your duty, because when we make mistakes as people, we want a shoulder to cry on. We want somebody to lean on. We want somebody, even if it's as little as just vent, right? Where would we be if we didn't have those people in our lives to just vent, right? Just vent. So I say all that to say, stay in your daughter's corner and things will work out. Now, now, what about if you have that mouthy ass daughter, right? That she's in your house. She thinks she knows everything. And I tell people there can't be two queens up in here, not at no 16, 17 years old. One is the mama, one is the queen and one is the princess. You better stay in your place. Well, in that case, you just try your best. You give and lead with love as much as you can. Lead with understanding and compassion. And just tell her, I'm trying to help you. Some people want it, and some people are so stubborn as hell where they don't want to hear your advice. Somewhere down the line, they are not respecting you as the mother or the role model. So you need to figure that portion out. Which one is it? Like, I'm your mother. I want to help you. I'm here to help you. And why are you treating me like this? Right? So before you put somebody out, you want to make sure that you um, actually try to work it out. Because sometimes it's just so hard. It's just so hard. These teenagers, they can be mouthy, but you just have to know how to handle it. You have to, again, be compassionate, because at the end of the day, that's still your seed out there in those streets. That's still your blood, your DNA out there in those streets. And you just don't want nobody, absolutely nobody, to undo all the goodness that you've put in for all those years, right? To just unravel it, and then chaos. And then now she didn't forget where the heck she came from, and she's doing all kind of stuff. Again, it can happen. I've seen it over and over. In a matter of 2 to 3 months, your child is out there in those streets. She's 15, 16, 17. She done forgot all her morals, all the standards she was taught. And now it's like, where did my child go? So I just encourage you to try your best. Put down your ego of what the community is going to say. Put down your ego of the talk. You're going to be talked about anyway in some cases, but don't worry about that. Handle your business in your household to make sure that everybody there is healthy mentally, right? And they're strong, and make sure that they are obedient. You don't want to be getting disrespected. So that's all I wanted to say. Be there for your children as much as you can. And I encourage you to be the matriarch that you're supposed to be. Okay. Do what God would want you to do. Now, if you are an adult child, adult daughter, and you have a mother, you need to go to our mother and daughter boot camp because you're having issues, or you feel like that you can't talk about the deep conversations um, alone with your mom. I'll walk you through that in our mother daughter boot camp. Okay, I'll walk you through how to set boundaries, what the meaning of respect is, how to lead with love, all of that, and really just basically how to effectively communicate so that you can spend much and more greater time together. Because listen, life is not promised to us. People can drop dead in a minute. And what you don't want to do is have that guard up saying, you know what? Well, I'm sick of my mama. My mama, all I can tell you is this: our mamas don't be right sometimes, half the time, but they know what they know. They know what they know, and sometimes what they know is not right. How they were brought up is not right. So, with that being said, if they're open to the even the little possibilities that you all can be repaired and restored, I invite you to our next month's mother daughter boot camp. This month is full. It's full every single month. But I want to just put that in your ear that we're having our mother daughter boot camp next month. And so I'd love for you to think about it so that you can eventually join it when we open it up, okay, pretty soon. So I want to say you have an amazing day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye bye.